Breaking news out of Washington. CBS News has learned President Trump is considering replacing Attorney General Pam Bondi. The president is said to be dissatisfied with her handling of his priorities. Let's bring in CBS News justice reporter Jake Rosen. Jake, good to see you. Can you take us through what you've learned about this?
Well, that's right. CBS News can confirm that there are conversations ongoing at the White House between top advisors and President Trump, in which he has talked and said that he is seriously considering replacing the Attorney General for somebody else, potentially in the administration or out of. What we do also know, Mugo, is that there's been a year plus now of patterns within the Justice Department that do not fit with President Trump's priorities. Yes, Attorney General Bondi has come out very strong in the last year on being tough on crime, on making sure her Department of Justice is charging people with stronger sentences and forcing cases to go to court that maybe a different Department of Justice would not. However, we've seen a string of losses in court and a string of refutals by judges across the country that have really negated a lot of what the Attorney General and the White House are attempting to do. Think about the political prosecutions that we've seen led by the Department of Justice against Letitia James and James Comey. Those both were dismissed last year by a judge. The Justice Department is appealing that. However, nothing will be resolved in these cases until the fall, going into the midterms. We know that John Bolton, former National Security Advisor, was charged. His case is ongoing, and we know a number of other investigations have also fallen flat on their face. Think about the investigation here in D.C. into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Think about the investigation just up the road led by Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia. The investigation into the lawmakers for making that video telling military members by members of the Senate and the House, telling them to refute and not obey any unlawful orders. That investigation has also fallen short. There have been a number of other things that Attorney General Bondi just has not been able to quite do, especially, Mugo, the most important one for our audience is defending some of this administration's priorities across whether it's the voting and elections executive order that was signed earlier this week, whether it's some of the immigration priorities, and whether it's quite simply just being honest in court with the Department of Justice staff she has. There have been hundreds of turnovers, firings, and resignations throughout this Justice Department in over a year. It's resulted in a shortly staffed department. It has resulted in people who have positions of power and expertise no longer in those positions. And we've seen a consequence trickle down in court where judges are truly skeptical of the Department of Justice and they're not trusting what is in simple court filings. There have been easy mistakes made in a lot of these cases that we've been tracking and have reported on for over a year. It's those priorities that have fallen short. Our CBS News reporting has learned no final decision has been made yet. But what we can report is that President Trump is seriously considering replacing his Attorney General.
So, Jake, is there any discussion of a replacement if the president does, in fact, remove Bondi from her current role?
Yes, and it would be easy to potentially shift somebody into this role if they were already confirmed by the cabinet. Lee Zeldin, who is an attorney, he's a Senate-confirmed administrator of the EPA. He is one person who CBS News has learned has met with President Trump and lobbied for himself in this role. Obviously, another person is the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi both represented President Trump in his personal capacity before he took office again. And we should also remind our audience that in some of these more high-pressure moments, think about the Justice Department's Epstein files release and controversy that is still ongoing over the handling there. The person to come out and take the podium and deal with reporters for over half an hour was Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the person to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in her prison and to negotiate and talk about what she knew as part of that probe was Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Right. There have been moments over the last year where he has been put in positions of power that the Attorney General has not. Those are two names certainly to watch. However, it is the president, and President Trump has been known to pick loyal allies for these roles and somebody who could potentially hit the gas on some of these political prosecutions or to speed up the application of the administration's priorities on things like election, administration, and immigration as we hit the home stretch before midterms.
Okay. Jake Rosen, thank you for your reporting.